Yes. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Our first item of business this afternoon is to hear the annual report of the Legal Foundation of Washington. We have a board member from Legal Foundation and former Board of Governor member, Mike Pontarolo. So welcome up. Well, Mike's getting settled. Just a quick clarification. Legal Foundation of Washington, not to be confused with the Washington State Bar Foundation, although both organizations, members have an opportunity to donate when they license annually with the bar. So I turn it over to you. Make sure to push the button.
Closer. Well, thank you for inviting me here. It brings back some memories. 20 years ago, that's when I was here last. We never got to meet at the Davenport. It was always a little bit too ritzy for us. We had all our meetings in the bar office. Anyway, my name is Mike Pontarolo. I am on the board of Legal Foundation of Washington, and I've been asked just to give you a short, brief statement of what we've been doing, what we do. I know you have in your book the report to the Supreme Court. I also recall how much you had to read, or at least I had to read when we had these meetings, and I don't know if you've gone through the report to the Supreme Court. It's pretty technical, and I can imagine you kind of thumbing through that, if any. Anyway, as our law license has given us sort of a monopoly on the courts. That means that justice is accessible if you have enough money to get to court. And as a result, today, race and poverty is the greatest impediment we have to a civil justice, or just to get to the courts and have rights to our laws. At LFW, we hope there's going to be one day when race and poverty is not going to be an impediment to court. When I started practice in 1973, and I know it's 50 years, guys, don't have to tell me, there was an organization called Spokane Legal Services. And Spokane Legal Services was basically made up of 2, maybe 3 lawyers at the most. They had no funding except for what they called then the Federal Legal Service Corporation. They had some money from the Bar Association and whatever else they could pick up to take care of mostly poor people who couldn't afford to go to court. During the Reagan era, as you might know, the Federal Legal Service Corporation changed its rules because of a lot of complaints made because large corporations are being sued by these nonprofit legal service corporations, suing them and getting large verdicts. And so they earmarked their funds so that you couldn't use that money from the federal government to do what was normally done and what we are trying to do from the Legal Foundation of Washington. So in 1981, IOLTA began, and the interest from these trust funds were to be used for civil legal assistance. And in 1984, the Supreme Court and the Bar Association together established IOLTA funds in the state of Washington. The sole purpose at that time was to manage the interest off of these funds and to provide for organizations funds to support them in the civil part of legal rights. In the year 2000, an endowment for equal justice was begun. Well, before that, there was a law fund established, and that's tantamount to what we call today the Campaign for Equal Justice. And they were to solicit and gain funds to supplement what IOLTA couldn't provide. IOLTA was very, and it still is, unpredictable. I look back in 1985, there was less than $2 million that came from IOLTA. And that went on until about 2008. There was one spike of maybe $3 million, but other than that, that was it to support the entire state. In the year 2000, an endowment was begun. The endowment is still in place, and their hope is that they put enough together that we don't have to sweat it every year to get sufficient funds to help what we call our partners in this endeavor. They're at $20 million. They hit it last year, and it was a real, happy day for everybody. In 2008, we had the mortgage crisis, and all of a sudden, the IOLTA goes into the tank, and I mean down to about 1.5 million. And the Bar Association, at that time, President was Mark Johnson, proposed to the Board of Governors that 1.5 million be given from the bar to the Legal Foundation, and that we put into that the dues for lawyers be raised to give us a cushion to give that extra money to the Legal Foundation. The 1.5 million was accounted for, but the raise in the bar dues or the license dues was not approved. But we do have on our applications now an opportunity to donate each year to the Legal Foundation of Washington. In 2016, Law Fund merged with the Legal Foundation of Washington, and now Legal Foundation of Washington funds 50 civil legal rights organizations, non-for-profit, with a current budget this year of $10 million. That's probably I won't say it's the highest, because I'm going to tell you something else that came up a couple of years ago, but our sources now consist of IOLTA, which still goes up and down. Number one. Number two, the Campaign for Equal Justice that provides maybe 1.5 million a year. The endowment currently is on a formula, and it provides $1 million a year. The Federal Legal Services Corporation still provides benefits, but only to Northwest Justice Project because their funds are earmarked. They can't be used for those despicable things of suing large corporations, which the Legal Foundation and some of our partners have been doing. The Office of Civil Legal Aid, which is a Washington organization, is underwritten by the state, and they provide certain funds. Then there's the Goldmark Luncheon, named after Charles Goldmark. He and his family were murdered. He was a strong civil rights activist. He was murdered in 1985. The Law Fund campaign, or the Law Firm campaign, as a part of we approach firms in Seattle, obviously, is very generous in assisting us. The Associates campaign is another way of having money, getting money. The corporate campaign, there's the Beer and Justice get together they have in different cities. We'll have one here on the 14th of September. And Cypre. We have Cypre funds. Those are funds that are excess money from normally in federal court from class actions that can be distributed to the Legal Foundation. With these funds, we have what we call grantee partners. There's 27 groups or organizations that we yearly contribute to, help them as much as we can to do what they do to help civil rights being given to the poor. Most of them are immigrants. Most of them are people of color. And there's a lot of other things, and I'll kind of explain to you briefly. But the largest one is Columbia Legal Services. Columbia Legal Services is an organization that I was on the board for about 10 years. And I got to tell you, I'm so impressed by them. They have a handful of lawyers that are in Seattle that are paid not even close to what most lawyers in Seattle would be paid. They are so dedicated. And what they do is they will take cases that, the normal lawyer could not afford to take, or they're too difficult, or they're too complicated to take. They then join with private lawyers who assist them because those private lawyers may have certain abilities in a particular area to help them. And they have taken on cases that are just, I can't even explain how proud I am to have been part of them. Like the Rodriguez case, the Supreme Court handled just a couple of years ago, where they, under the H-2A program to bring individuals, usually from Mexico and the Central American countries, to America to work in the fields. There's so many abuses that occur because most of these farms are not family farms. They're owned by corporations, Prudential, American Express, AT&T. They bring these people over here under the guise that they will provide certain amenities, pay them a certain amount of money, and it's become almost a routine that doesn't occur. So Columbia Legal Services is currently, and I'm going to tell you what they're doing currently. First of all, they have established about 5 or 6 cases that are in the mill. One of them is to restrict the placement of youths that have been imprisoned before they're 18 and after 18 and putting them in the adult population. Law requires that they be 25 years of age, and there's a study that they're supposed to be evaluated to see if they can go into the regular population. There's a case currently where the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, which has now have a couple of cases against them, have just totally avoided using the criteria. There's a case called the Gomez case, another one of these H-2A cases where guest workers come from Mexico and the Central America. They bring them over here, and then they threaten them insofar as if they don't pick so many apples, we're going to send you back to Mexico. There was one case against Prudential where they brought a number of people here from Mexico, and when they got them all here, they found it was cheaper to go to a southeast or to an eastern country and bring those people over because they would work cheaper than the people from Mexico, and they just let the people from Mexico stay here. Didn't bring them back, didn't send them back, didn't give them any housing, and that was a case that resulted in about a $2 million verdict for these individuals, plus the attorney fees that went along with it. The Gomez case is very similar to that. There's 1,100 workers that came over here, and this is in the works. These are cases that have not been finished, but they'll be tried here shortly. That one there will be tried in November, by the way. The Lambert case, Mr. Lambert, who was imprisoned, he got sick, he was treated, he was released, and then handed a bill for $12,000. The law requires that those people that do get sick, they're supposed to be taken care of by the state. And so that's a case, again, where we're challenging who should pay for these particular things. Another one. There are 2 cases involving youth held in solitary confinement, where they would, there's 44 of them now, as a class action, where they would make these young people strip down with handcuffs on for reasons allegedly to be valid, where they were hiding something or something like that. But that was just one example of the 44 people who had been, their rights had been violated. Yesterday, I was part of the grantees committee, and we have, as I said, 27 what we call partners that every year we provide some money, and we have over the years arranged our finances so that we can, for those 27, we can give them 2 years of foundation that they know they're going to get some X number of dollars for 2 years. It used to be every year we had to struggle, or they had to struggle. They didn't know what was going to happen from year to year. We've changed that. So that every 2 years, these individuals, these organizations send in a very comprehensive, I was reading them yesterday in small print, 15 to 20 pages of why they should be given, reassessed and given support. Also, we have what we call accelerator grants. Those are grants that are given to individuals that aren't part of the normal partners that ask for money. For example, yesterday, one organization, they just needed a bus. They needed a small bus to get the clients from point A to point B. Not a big expense in light of the other expenses that we have, but we provide these grants every year. The vetting process is very thorough. The manner in which they're vetted is in cooperation with them. Our group, our committee goes and visits these people every year so we know who they are, what they do, and try to assist them. I want to assure you that the Legal Foundation of Washington is up and running. I know we depend upon IOLTA. The bar has helped us in the past, but it is a function that it is an organization. If we didn't have them in the state of Washington, there would be chaos. There would be so many people that would never have the opportunity just to seek justice or have an opportunity to seek justice if we didn't have these 50 organizations made up of individuals who dedicate their lives, lawyers that dedicate time, money to assist and to do cases that no other lawyer would do normally. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. It brings back good memories to you back here to see everyone. I don't know all the people here. I know some of them, obviously the locals, but they were good times for me. I enjoyed the Board of Governors. I enjoyed, and I have enjoyed being on the Legal Foundation of Washington Board, and especially Columbia Legal Services. Good luck. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mike. Okay, let's move on.
Thank you, Mike.